I think everyone wants to one. But yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Slipstream Entrepreneurs Podcast. I am joined, obviously, by my co-host, the wonderful Hannah Brooks. Hannah, how are you today?
I'm so grateful to be here, as always.
That is incredible to hear. And we are so lucky today to be joined with an absolutely powerhouse of a guest. Yes, we are joined by Harry Phypers. Harry, firstly, have I said your surname right?
Yeah, first time. Yeah, I'm not sure about the powerhouse part of that conversation.
Yeah.
But I'll take it anyway.
I think that was my biggest concern was, obviously we've invited you on and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Phypers. Should have asked you before we clicked that record button and just gone, yeah, let's ask you exactly how you say your surname. But hey, I've got it right first time. That's all that matters. But how are you anyway?
I'm great, guys. Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's an honor and a privilege to, be in the other chair. Normally I'm where you guys are, asking the questions, but it's nice to always, I guess, experience the other side of it. So yeah, I'm excited to see where we go and what we talk about.
100%. And I think the first stage is to actually hear about your story because, like I said, being a powerhouse is my sort of phrase I would use for yourself. And you're creating an incredible personal branding. You've got an unbelievable podcast yourself, which I'd love to hear about. You've got business ventures. You've got it all. But take us back to the start and take us on that journey of where you started and where you are today.
Yeah, I guess my journey starts with little Harry, about 5-6 year old. Getting getting an obsession for cars. Really, my parents would say that my first word was car. I guess is a way to look at it. I was, I always been fascinated. I'm very lucky that I always kind of knew what I liked and what my passion was, even as like a 5-6 year old. Like I used to sit, on my carpet at my nan's house, drawing these ridiculous cars with V16 engines, exhaust pipes coming out the wazoo, like these crazy cockpit, like F1 sort of type things. And that kind of grew into, I guess a storytelling thing. Because I wanted to, tell the stories of these cars. And I used to have this little map. It was like a little plush sort of like little Tykes, like street map. And there was like car parks and there was stuff like that. And I used to, sit on this carpet in this room actually, probably about 15 years ago, on a different rug, moving these cars around, pretending they were drifting, having little street races, almost like what you'd see in films now, but it was all in my head. And it was like, I got so interested and so intrigued in what these things were and the stories you could tell with these things. And it kind of just cascaded on from that. I mean, I used to, go-kart as a young kid. I don't know how we got into it, but one day, I guess I ended up going, my granddad died and they left a lot of money to my mum and dad. And I guess there was a conversation we had along the way, which is, what do you want to do? Like, they have this money, like, what do you want to do? And I was playing rugby at the time, but I'd always wanted to, I enjoy scale electrics. I enjoyed all that sort of stuff. So go-karting was like clearly the next logical step. And through that, I was at, it was Butmore Park. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows, if you listen to this, what Butmore Park is. So I used to race there. I got on really well. The guys always said, he's quicker than everyone else, but he can't turn. So a big point of, the big point of racing is cornering. And I guess I had a problem with authority when I was growing up. But no, you don't know this. You kind of just, you accept what adults tell you. And so go-karting was a massive thing. I wanted to get big at it. I wanted to get better at it. So, I spent more and more time for over 3 or 4 years go-karting. And that taught me so much about car controls. It taught me so much about, competitiveness. I am probably the most competitive person you'll ever meet outside of business. But in my personal life, if you're playing Monopoly with me, I will shout to you if you don't pay me a tax. So there is that. But no, yeah. So go-karting was a big passion, a big love of mine. I wanted to be a racing driver. That, I guess that's, that was it. I wanted to be a racing driver at probably 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 was the years that I was crazy about it, like every young boy is. But I guess the difference with me is I thought I could make it happen. And so there was a conversation with my dad I had. It was like, how can we go racing? And he was like, well, it costs a lot of money. And, I listened to my dad like it was raw. Like he, whatever he said was fact. And so I didn't think much of it. So when my dad said we don't have the money to do it, I kind of went, oh, like, what do I do now? Because, my dad's told me I can't go racing. In my head, he said it, so it can't happen. So I'm not trying to solve the problem at 12 years old. I'm just going, right, cool. My dad said he didn't have money to do it. Whatever their reason was for it, fantastic. I'm quite glad it didn't. It's led me to where I am today. So after that, I guess I kind of spent, years at school kind of figuring out what you want to do, right? That's what you kind of do. You were told by teachers, you need to find a job You know, what you're doing your GCSEs for, what you're doing your A-levels for, like where's it going to lead you? Like what is the point of all this? And something again at school, I used to tell careers advisors I was into cars. You know, I really want to do cars. Like what's out there? And their advice was go to university. That's the advice. You know, there was no, oh, you should do this course, or we recommend this person. You know, bless them, careers guidance is great, but if you're not keyed up on each industry that's possible, each big industry, like automotive industry employs, I think it's something of 9 million people, and that's just in the US. So imagine if you're a careers guidance guy, it's just like, you can go to university, just get a degree. You know, you get a degree and sort your life up. They don't really care. I mean, in my experience anyway, you know, for schools, you're just trying to get to university because the more students are going to university, the more money you get subsidized by the government if you're a grammar school. That's kind of how it works. And so, yeah, I understand that now, but I didn't understand that at 16. So, you know, I kind of went, okay, what's out there for me? She goes, this course, this guy in the year above has found a JLR apprenticeship. You know, you'll get to work with Jaguars. You'll get to work with, you know, Land Rovers. Great. All right, cool. Fantastic. Spoke to the guy in the year above. He was leaving that year anyway, to go to the apprenticeship. I still speak to him. His name's Drew. He's a great guy. He's now got his own real estate company, actually. So it's not really worked for him, but, you know, that the apprenticeship clearly taught him something that he was able to go off and do his own thing. So I applied for that. Year 13, doing my A-levels, and JLR pulls the rug out. They cancel the course and they stop from mechanical to software, which makes total sense, you know, that the way cars are going with electrical engineering. And so I'm like, oh, what do I do now? Like, what's the next step? I know I put all my eggs in one basket. You know, it's not sort of stupidly looking back at it, but, you know, that's all you're told to do, right? Is you're told to find a job. I went and found a job, and then the job got taken away from me. So I left school with some A-levels. I got 2 C's and a D, I think. I can't quite remember. But that was my main priority. My main priority was getting a job. You know, I need money now. Like, that's it. So I got a full-time job in hospitality. You know, don't get me wrong, great industry. I'd say everyone needs to work at one point in your life just to understand how stressful it can be dealing with 18, 20 different people in one room that all want something from you, that all, you know, you're paying for food, they all expect it to be perfect. So you're managing expectations, you're dealing with customer service, you're making sure that table 12's food's got their food by the time table 6 is gone. You've got to manage the tables of people coming in and out of the room, make sure everyone's having a great service and a great laugh. But, you know, doing that might have been, to me, the best decision I've ever made. It's taught me so much in such a short space of time. But doing that, I thought, right, I don't want to work hospitality. My cars are still my main focus. So I found a course in America by Hennessy. I don't know if you know who Hennessy are.
Yeah.
They're a big American tuning house. And they had a course for 14 weeks, 14 grand, and they teach you everything about cars they knew. And after that, I think, well, it was Americans only. They'd help you find a job because of the visa work. But anyway, there was a promise of, you know, we'll help you find a job. It might not be in America, but they've got a load of contacts. I was like, cool. Started saving up for that. It's 14 grand. I earn 23 grand a year. I could probably do this in 2 years, right? If I live frugally, I don't pay rent. I'm lucky enough to live at home. You know, all this sort of stuff. I can make it work for me. And I think about maybe 9 months into that, a little guy ate a bat in, you know, China, and it came over here and COVID happened. So, you know, there was no more travel. I was like, you know, this is going from strength to strength here. Like, I've just found a course, started saving up money. I had about maybe 2.5, 3 grand at that point. We were about 9 months in. I was like, cool, it's not going as well as it should, but, you know, I've got some money saved up. COVID hits, and I'm like, what do I do now? Like, there's another stumbling block. And, you know, at this point, I'm 18, 19. I'm just kind of like, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe I'm not supposed to be working with cars. But it's something that I guess Rob Priestley put out there, which was, you know, you find the little wins, right? Find the little wins and find what you're passionate about. And that will help, you know, with your story. And, you know, my story is I'm a car guy. You know, that's my thing. I love cars. I want to work with cars. I want to do that. So I was like, I'm going to carry on, actually. I'm going to pursue this, and we'll see where it takes us. So I thought, well, I've got unlimited amount of time now, and I'm getting money from work. Again, I'm still living at home, and I'm in a very privileged position. I've got 3 grand saved up. I'll just teach myself. You know, how hard can it be? So I bought a Mini Cooper S, you know, the early BMW one. Love that car. Took it to shreds, ripped it to pieces, built it back up, and thought I'll teach myself that. That took another 6 months to teach myself how to do all of that. Put the car back together. It went bang. Well, clearly I didn't do it well. clearly all that, you know, I taught myself and I've done it wrong. So I hired I got a local mechanic to kind of do it for me. I was sitting there watching him just kind of you did this wrong, or the reason it went bang is the tolerance wasn't quite right on this bolt. You can see there's a gap in between the head and the block of the engine. So I learned so much from him. I tried to do it myself, and I was like, all right, cool. Even though this has happened, I still want to do it. And coming out of lockdown, I then had a choice: do I go back to university, or do I try and find a job? And so I went back into hospitality. In the meantime, I was like, all right, well, how can I make this work? So actually, funnily enough, I went from being a runner, which is like below a waiter, so you're basically running through the tables. From that going, right, cool. I found so much purpose over lockdown. I found so much, fight and drive that I want, screw being that. I want to go run a restaurant. I reckon I can do it, So I went from runner before lockdown. I was waiting part time, when eat out to dine out. So that taught me how to wait tables, taught me how to manage tables. 6 months after, I went, cool. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna go run a restaurant in Sevenoaks in Kent, and that was the biggest, upset. I mean, like, we're talking panic attacks. We're talking worrying about what's going on, being so stressed that this 20-year-old is running a pub with no previous experience. This landlord had taken a chance on me. I kind of sold him the dream that I could do it. I'd kind of given it my all. Right, cool, I can do this, and it was like a 15 grand pay rise to run his restaurant. I was like, cool, that's another 15 grand. I can get back out to America even quicker. But I looked back over America and what they were doing, and Hennessy they changed the way they're doing the program. They weren't offering a job anymore. They were just taking 14 grand. I was like, do you know what? If you're not going to offer me a job, you're not going to help me find a job. I don't want to do it. And so I started a podcast. As you guys know, it's a great opportunity to meet people. It's a great opportunity to network. And I kind of selfishly went, right, okay, if I can meet as many people as possible in the industry, enough high level people, I'll find myself a job. I'll prove myself like I did to the guy at the restaurant. And I think we're 18 months into that podcast, 20 months in. It's going really well. It's shameless plug. It's called the Ignition Podcast. If you want to listen to it after this, go do it. But no, the whole point of that podcast is to show people what's possible with a passion for cars. Like, help people that were like me, because it can't just happen to me. I can't be the only petrol head out of lockdown that wanted to find a job in the industry. I can't be the only person that might be thinking they want to change into the industry. I'm not the only person that loves cars, loves racing, right? And so that was the podcast. The idea was to tell the stories of the people in the industry that we all love, and show them that it is possible. That I've spoken to guys that were they were bus drivers up until the age of 28, right? They were bus drivers up to the age of 28, and they had a kid and went, crap, I'm not doing what I want to do. I don't enjoy life. How am I supposed to raise a kid if I'm not happy? And so his name is Martin Bishop, and he went on to help develop the Aston Martin Valkyrie. And so, like, that guy went from taking people around in a bus to fixing one of the quickest road cars developed by Adrian Newey that exists, right? And that's an amazing story. And it was just trying to find more of those people. Like, for instance, a guy who decided to make miniature cars. No one had done it before. He'd taken a 3/4 inch scale replica, and he'd done it. He'd started a company. He had this crazy idea, and he made it work. It's just those are the kind of stories I wanted to tell. And we're 20 months in, and I'm now looking at what we can do. And part of that, like I said, one of the ventures is creating a car club. It's creating a place for those guys to meet, those entrepreneurs, those business owners, those go-getters that listen to the podcast, to be able to join in a community, to store their car, to look after the car, to actually find more people like them to help them network. Because I found so much joy and so much success in it. Why can't I bring that to a physical space? And so that's the Ignition Motors Club. That's now where we're at. And yeah, I guess that's a very long-winded story of how I got where today.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
So I went through a very early midlife crisis, I would say. So I'm only 34, but at the age of 27, I decided to buy a really rundown Porsche and to do it up with no experience, because I was just like,
great choice.
It was an old Boxster. It looked, pretty dodge. But I literally just watched YouTube videos because I just really wanted to challenge myself and try and do something cool. So I really understand what you're trying to say, because it's hard. And the more experience you can get in that and having fun in doing it, you're a winner, right? So, but I had a really, so I when I did get the Porsche done, I did get it checked, blah, 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 few tweaks, and then took it out, and I used to drive it to work. And I remember driving through Leicester City, which is where I live, and some guy spat at me through the open top, and it was just horrendous. And ever since then, it kind of just like, it put me off a little bit. But I thought if I had somewhere where I could like keep it and like showcase it and make sure it's taken care of and that sort of stuff, it would be, it would have given me a lot more joy. So I think it sounds like a great concept. Like, so how far along are you with Ignition Motor Club?
Yeah, so I guess we're currently building that community I was talking about. So using the podcast and using people I've met at car meets and car shows. Like we host our own events as well. Like we've hosted 2 this year so far. They've gone down really well. Some of it's networking events, some of it's a wine tasting. The wine tasting, I'll be honest with you, flopped massively. I had 5 people sign up. Don't host a event for car people, involve alcohol, and then on top of that, host it in the middle of the week at midday. Doesn't work. I've learned from that. Make sure people are there to come. So yeah, no, we're at the point where we found a building actually in Kent. It's a really nice Grade 2 listed building. We're in the process of finding investment. So if you are listening to this and do want to get involved, I am open to that. So yeah, we're just trying to build that community. We're just trying to build a list of people that want to be part of what I'm trying to build. Like for instance, for me, I want the next Soho House. I want to have one of these in every country all over the world. Like to have a home away from home for petrol heads is the idea. If you want to go to Brands Hatch, take your car around, put it back at the IMC, and then go fly to Monaco, I want to be able to give you a place to stay in Monaco that you trust, that you're really part of that community. So when they walk in, we've got your profile, we know who you are, we know Mr. Frank, thank you for coming, here's your room, we'll sort that out for you, that we know you. I think that's the best thing, is to go somewhere and really feel like they know who you are. And so yeah, we're at that point where we're trying to build that community. We're trying to get as many people involved as possible, and we're just rolling out membership and stuff like that. And we've got a waiting list that we'll sign up to, and we'll let everyone know when we're ready to go. But yeah,
that's sensational. I think what's so amazing about that as well is the fact that there's so many opportunities that can come from that. Entrepreneurs who love cars, bringing people to. I'm part of a golf networking group. It gives me an excuse to play golf, but it's a bringing together of loads of different business people, entrepreneurs who just want to help build their network. And it's just like, to a lot of networking events you go to, and they just seem like you're trying to pitch all the time. And when you come together where you have a love for something, I don't talk about business with people in this golf networking event. We're talking about each other. We're talking about our golf. We have a laugh. You build relationships. That's the key thing for it. And networking is all about building relationships. So it doesn't matter, if you do get business out of it, but people are more likely to do business if they know, like, and trust someone. They're more likely to make those referrals. So if you're coming together for the love of cars, whether it be classic cars, whether it be supercars, whether it just be, the Peugeot 207 bang in the middle, whatever it is, if you've got a love for cars and you're brought together with other people and you can show off your car and you look at others, you ask questions, you build those relationships, and you're more likely to recommend people, seeing the values of people. And I know, Harry, this one thing we'll go on to very shortly about values and, what that means. But when you align with someone, you properly connect with them, the opportunities just open up and you see things that you would never see if you just asked a question. But tell us a little bit more about values, because at the moment you're looking for obviously a co-founder for Ignition, the car, your car club. One of the parts of that process is finding people's core values and making them align with you. But where did you get that from?
Yeah, well, I guess something that I realized early on was like there's this finding yourself, right? You got like self-development was a massive thing for me over lockdown. I had that. I would say during lockdown I was going for a massive change. I'd just broken up with someone. It was my first real relationship. You go into lockdown, and I'm now single. I've now kind of lost myself to that relationship. Who am I? And that was the big question. If anything over lockdown taught me that who I was. It kind of gave me that love back for me actually. And yeah, there's values are, I guess, it's the makeup of who we are, right? There's a great phrase that say your thoughts become your feelings, your feelings become your actions become what you put out into the world. So if you can not control, but if you can look after what's going up here in your brain, you can look after what's going out, what you project outwards, right? And so one thing that a mentor of mine showed me was this values exercise of what is actually important to you. and it's a bunch of different values, anything from, you know, for instance, for me, it's loyalty, honesty, and trust, right? If I don't have those three things in you, I don't want to work. Don't want to work with you, but I don't feel like, you know, I can get the most out of what we're doing. And so you go through a list of these emotions and feelings and what you feel is important to you, right? You go through all of this stuff and you kind of narrow it down. Like, if you couldn't feel these things, what would you feel? And for me, you know, a co-founder or someone you've got to spend a lot of time with, like I'm sure, Rich, you find this with Hannah, like you say, you meet that person, you click, you know, there's that, oh my God, I need to work with you, or, you know, there's such a connection here, like I love what you're doing, hope you like what I'm doing. And you know, like you meet in person or you meet online and you kind of click, you can tell by the energy you give off. There was something that Vicky Pemberton said, which was, you know, are you an energy giver, a zapper, or do I feel like a rock around you? Like, and that was something that I'd picked up on earlier. I went, cool, like who am I feeling that I'm getting energy from? Who am I feeling that's zapping my energy? And who do I kind of feel meh about, right? And that's kind of informed the values thing. And when it comes to a co-founder, it's nice to find the people that you click with, right, that give you energy. And hopefully you're giving a person energy back from that conversation. And it goes two ways, right? It goes two ways in the fact that you want to lift that person up and you want that person to lift you up, right?
Don't know if we lost Hannah or not. I thought she was going to say something.
Oh, okay, no, we're cool.
No, I think that's really poignant, isn't it?
I just love what you say about energy. It's so important.
No,
sorry, Hannah, go on.
I think we're both in agreement, aren't we? It's so important to like match energy with energy, and we're both similar in our energy for like drive and personal development. And I think when you find your co-host, you'll know it as soon as you meet them, because you'll click. And I know that's a really cliche way, isn't it? But it does happen. I think
it's true, though.
The one thing from my personal business that I miss is a co-founder, because I have no diverse opinions other than myself. So I'm always chasing what I think, but what if that's wrong? What if there's a better way of doing it? You know, like what if other people, everyone can bring something to the table is what I'm saying. So finding someone with that diverse experience who you can click with energy, I think is exactly what you need, right, in a co-founder. So yeah, anyone listening out there that wants to get in touch with Harry, please do.
I mean, I think one of those things on top of that is, you know, I've heard this many a times. I'm not sure where it came from, but, you know, someone said that if you go by yourself, you can go fast. If you go as a team, you can go far. And I think that's so important with something like what you're doing, Harry, is you could do an incredible job on your own. Like that's a given. With your passion, with your dedication, with your knowledge, with such a switched on entrepreneur mindset, you could do an incredible job. However, it's kind of like actually your purpose is so much bigger than just for yourself. It's for others. You seem so selfless. It's all about other people. How can I add value to other people in their lives? And that for me just shows that actually bringing someone into that and adding to the skills that you've already got with other skills, the amount of people that you can impact and having a global sort of ambition rather than just a UK ambition is just so powerful.
Yeah, I think it's important. Like, for instance, the way you said about, you know, that global thing, right? It's great if I can do it in the UK, but I'll be completely honest with you. It's two-pronged, right? I wouldn't be able to reach enough people to make the business work if it was just in the UK. I mean, I could, but one location isn't going to work. You need a couple for that draw as well, right? You want to be able to say to people, you could be anywhere in the UK and you can find someone that you can gel with. And I think we said earlier about the networking things are completely right. Like, you want to be around people that you like, trust, and know, right? That's kind of it. And if you're doing business with someone you don't know, or you don't know what they're like, and for instance, there's a great thing, I can't remember who said it, but an entrepreneur that I quite stand up, like, came up to me and went, you know, if you ever played a board game with someone, right, and see if they cheat, you know, that's the kind of person. Effectively, that's what we're doing. You're playing a game with someone, and if they skimp the rules a bit or they cheat, or you don't like the way they play the game, well, that's a board game, but it might apply to how they do life, right? And I said earlier, Monopoly, like, me screaming at you because you don't pay tax, I'm competitive, but that's because, you know, you owe me some money. I'm not going to scream at you in real life. Like, it's a board game, like, it's very intense, but You know, it shows that I'm interested in the little things, right? The fine details. Like, just it might be 10 Monopoly dollars, but I need that 10 Monopoly dollars to buy a house, and so to earn more money. So actually, the little things matter. And you know, when it comes to like they say, the global community, I think, you know, making it as big as possible. It's my, you know, if anything, it's my, you know, my right. I feel like it's everyone deserves one of these places in everything in these countries, right? To connect everyone. Like, social media is great. Don't get me wrong. You can find whatever you want, whenever you want. But how often can you know that if I go to the golf club, am I going to meet Rich? Am I going to meet Hannah at the golf club? I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I going to meet someone like them? I don't know. But if you go to, you know, a car club that you know, I'm gonna meet Glenn. Glenn's all there all the time. I'm gonna meet Dave because Dave's hanging out there. I'm gonna meet, I don't know, Alice because she's always around, right? And so it's that kind of bringing that feeling in, and it's what I've learned from hospitality as well. Like, the reason high-end restaurants charge so much isn't mainly because the food's really expensive. Food can only cost so much, right? But they're providing you an experience. They're providing you with, you walk through the door, and for the minute you walk through the door, you feel like you're the most important person in that room. You feel like the plate of food has been like made especially for you. That wine has been poured and selected especially for you. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying for the £30 bottle of wine that's marked up 3 times. You're not paying for the bit of steak which just costs 4 times the amount of the cow did. You're paying for that feeling, and that's, I think, what I'm trying to create is that feeling.
That was really cool.
No, special. You go back to the likes of, like, I mean, what you're trying to do, and you look at something like WeWork, like, or other places are available where it's obviously people come together, and I don't want to do any product placement here. I'm just made that abundantly clear.
If you do, message them, send them the clip, and then get some money for it.
Exactly.
But yeah.
So if you're from WeWork and you want to talk, then you know, from my email. No, but my point being is that, you know, people come together. People, you know, share office space together. Yes, sometimes they want a private room to do a call or whatever, but actually at other times they want to be around other like-minded individuals and, you know, have that networking opportunity, speak to people. Exactly what you're building is that, with the love of cars. You know, what better way? And again, if you're doing like a podcast and you've got a load of supercars behind you, that's a talking point. Or if you're meeting people, you're chatting about cars and business. And I just think that creates that vibe, which is just incredible. And again, being surrounded by luxury cars, especially. I mean, for me, I love luxury cars, sports cars, racing cars, whatever it is. That's a real passion of mine. But if you're surrounded by that, it will just lift you up as a person to have that every day of being, oh, look, there's a... I was going to do it again. There's a Lamborghini, there's a Ferrari, there's a whatever. Like, you know, I go on walks and I've got a load of supercars down the end of my road, and there's just a whole line of them, and you just go walk down there and go, wow, this is incredible. But being around that all the time is just going to lift you up, and I think that is something incredible that you're building.
Yeah, I mean, out of interest, guys, like, where did your, because Hannah, you bought a Porsche, clearly you've got an interest in cars, right? You picked a good one off the bat. Rich, you know, I know we've spoken offline, you're a car guy. Where did that passion come from?
So for me, I've always just, since yay high, like, so my family's been involved in the military and stuff like that. So for me, I've been around people who have been like engineers in the military, RAF, like mountain rescue. So anything that moves, my family tends to just be interested in. So, like, for me, like, it's pretty obsessive. So, like, one of my earliest memories was being at an air show and being fascinated whilst being on this tiny little motorbike. I don't know how old I was, but I was tiny. I was riding a motorbike and this massive Harrier jump jet flying over me, and then just like wandering around and like seeing all these like stalls for like really luxurious like cars and stuff like that. And so for me, it's just kind of, it's just something I'm fascinated by and like to be absorbed by, and will throw myself at any opportunity. Like, I'm constantly on like the plane spotting app, or, you know, like if I see a car, I want to like suddenly research it and stuff. So yeah, it's just kind of always been bred into me. Like my grandpa was like a tank engineer in like World War II and stuff like that. So for me, like, just part and parcel of who we are as a family, I suppose, family identity. So, but yeah, Rich, what about you? I don't actually know.
It's fun. You know what? I was just thinking about it now, and I'm glad you went first, because I was kind of like, how did I get into, you know, motorsport and cars? And, you know, I mean, I think back, you know, I wanted to do go-karting when I was a kid. Again, the same thing is you go to go-kart parties, you're, oh, I love this is brilliant. Like, I've always been competitive, always looking for overtaking opportunities. But I said this the other day on someone else's LinkedIn post, is that, when you're walking or in a car, like you're driving somewhere, you're driving normal road speed, etc. ish, or you're walking and you've got a commentary in your head and you're trying to overtake people. I'm always like that anyway, but I actually, I was told I couldn't do go-karting, it was too expensive. Other sports I was also good at. I've loved sports all my childhood, all the way up. I still, I'm lucky enough to be involved in elite level sport anyway, within football. But my thing is I was just so passionate about driving. That's all I really wanted to do. And I actually joined the police. I say to help people. I want to drive a police car on blue lights. Let's be honest. That's why I kind of did join. Got to do that. I got to go. I was pursuit trained as well, and that was fantastic. And, you used to watch it on TV, and you just buzz. Then you realise you got 4 hours of paperwork after that little 30-minute pursuit, and you just think, oh, is it worth it? Then join the fire service. I thought the grass was greener, and drive fire engines for a living. Absolutely amazing. Don't drive them very fast, so don't go very fast. I'm a lorry at the end of the day. But I might think, when I got into business, I was like, what do I really feel passionate about? What's really attracting me? I love looking at supercars. I've got pictures all over the place of all different sorts of cars, got it on phone. Like Instagram is for, if you click on the search on Instagram and you have a look down, it's just car, racing driver, car. And I was just like, that's what I want to do. And that's why I started building a business, or businesses, I should say, within motorsport. Because I was like, I'm just attracted to, and I mean, I'm 32 now. I'm never going to be an F1 driver. I enjoy having a little race here and there. I'm not particularly good. Let's be completely frank. I enjoy it, but I just think for me is that if you can do something you're really passionate about, and you're involved in it, and you just surrounded by that life, you just think you can make that difference. And that for me is what I'm probably not the most technical. I'm certainly not an engineer, but I just love the look of cars. I love how they sound. I love how they make you feel. It's just an extension of you, especially if you get the right car. My Peugeot 207 is not that at the moment, but I imagine when I'm driving, I imagine it's my Porsche Panamera. It's that's what's going through my head, and that's what I want now. When I've got my Porsche Panamera, I'll probably imagine it be something else. But it's one of those things for me, and I just love it. I do. It's just I don't know. I just got really excited talking about it. Waffled on. It makes you feel amazing.
Yeah, that's the great thing, isn't it, about cars? They really evoke something in us. I don't know what it is. I mean, for me, there's that. I say this a lot. I think we all want to be moved. There's that freedom with the car. You get your first car, and in the modern day, a car is freedom, right? It is the ability to go where you want, when you want. Within reason, of course. But and I think from a young age, we're all taught that you have to go to work, you have to go to school, you have to do all these things. But actually, a car defines that. And if you get really obsessed, like us, or for instance, for me, you get really obsessed with how it works. For instance, you tear it apart, or how fast it can go, or how loud it can be, or what it could look like, or what it could be like inside. And I think that's the brilliant thing about these cars, is that cars are not just take you from A to B. They're not just, as Clarkson says, these pieces of metal, leather, and plastic. They take us places physically and emotionally. Like you say, you're closing your eyes, hopefully not on the road, and imagining you're in a Panamera, right? You want that car. If that's manifestation, great. That's going to help you get there. But actually, one day you might be in that Porsche and you go, right, cool. I was in a 207, but now I'm going at the speed limit down some country roads, really enjoying the way it is. And I think that's. We all want to, have a car look a certain way. It's because it's part of us. My Mini, when I had it, I put some rally lights on it, did the interior, stuff like that. I made it faster. I made it pop and bang, stuff like that. I was 20 years old, leave me alone. But, that's it. I think that's why people love cars. And, speaking to people I have on the podcast and asking that question, what do you love most about cars? What do you love most about racing? You get so many different answers, and those answers are all unique and individual to that person.
It's such an emotional thing, isn't it?
No, 100%, 100%. Well, like, I mean, Harry, I wanted this podcast to go on for another, well, at least another 30 minutes, if not if not an hour. But obviously we've got a bit of a time constraint, and I'm sure we'll hopefully I've really enjoyed this so far, and you know, with your permission, we'll do another episode further on down the line, hopefully in the Ignition Car Club, because that would be sensational. I'd love that. But one question that we're asking everyone is, if you could spend time with someone, whether they're alive or dead, you know, who would that be and why?
Yeah, we had the conversation offline. You know, you're going to give me a heads up, and immediately my head went to Ayrton Senna, right? But for some reason, I think, you know what, I'm gonna pick Enzo. You know, I recently watched his, you know, the Ferrari film, and it's, you know, it gives you a bit of context how, you know, however realistic it is, but it'd just be mind-boggling. Like, for a man that's trying to, you know, he's built this car company from the ground up, you know, by himself. He's building these, you know, it's pure. Like, he says he builds cars so he can go racing. He doesn't go racing so he can sell cars, right? It's for him. He's all about, you know, the passion of driving. And it would be brilliant to just spend time with this man, watch him work, watch the way he interacts with people, watch the way he deals with people, and see how he gets the best and, well, the worst out of people as well, and how he's able to do what he did. So yeah, I think Enzo Ferrari be the person I spend the time with.
Yeah.
Wow, sensational.
Amazing.
Especially having that knowledge of business as well, you know, it's the power behind it, and you know what business is all about and the reasons why. I mean, that would just be sensational. Yeah, no, I like that one. It's a new one we've had as well, which is fantastic.
Fantastic. I'd love to hear that. Yeah. Who are the others by any chance? Or do I have to go listen to the podcast?
Listen to the podcast. We don't want to spoil it. Don't spoil it. Yeah. No, and actually, the most interesting thing is that, like, we recorded an episode yesterday, and that was the first time we had a motorsport, you know, person who, it was a racing driver who chose someone within motorsport. You know, everyone else has been like self-development effectively. You know, there's been some really interesting answers, which is fantastic as well, is because we left that open. We didn't say, who in motorsport would you like, or who in, like, you know, cars would you like. We just left it completely open, and we're getting some fantastic answers and reasons why. So it's been really fascinating. But Harry, I mean, it hurts me to say this, but we're gonna have to draw this to a close as such. But thank you so much for jumping on. Before we finish, like, obviously, if someone wanted to connect with you, reach out to you, have conversations with you, potentially invest in you or be a co-founder, etc., where's the best place to find you and speak to you? Yeah,
LinkedIn is probably the best place for you guys to find me. Yeah, it's Harry Phypers. I'm sure that's gonna be interesting. I'm the only one, I think, of two. So, you know, look for this ugly mug, or just Harry Phypers under Ignition Motor Club. It's under that link bio. Or if you use Instagram, go follow us, ignition.motor.club. There we'll be releasing all the information over there as well. So yeah, if you can guys go there, and thank you so much for having me on. It's been a privilege, really, and I love what you guys are doing. So carry on doing it.
No, thank you so much, and we'll put those links in the description as well, just so people can click straight on that and go from there. But Hannah, thank you so much again. I'm so grateful for what you do, and, you know, obviously being part of this incredible journey. And Harry, thank you so much for being a part of that journey, and I'm sure our paths are going to cross many times moving forward. But guys, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, please share. You know, it really does help us and help us reach those next people to come along and inspire more people. But thank you very much indeed, and take care.